Hey everyone, today we're making peach cobbler. Although it's a traditional summertime treat, a lot of people think that it's too unhealthy and too hard to make. However, I have a recipe that's healthy and easy. Let's get started. This is a small cobbler, perfect for two people. So all we'll need for the crust is half a cup of sugar, half a cup of flour, half a cup of milk, half a teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Most dump cake style cobblers of this size would use half a stick of butter, but we're going to replace some of the butter with Greek yogurt to cut down on the calories. For the filling, we're going to use a 15-ounce can of peaches, so there's no prep work at all, along with a teaspoon of lemon juice and a tablespoon of sugar, but that's optional. I'm using peaches canned in juice, not in syrup, so if I wanted to leave out the extra sugar, I could and keep the calories as low as possible. To put the cobbler together, you'll need a bowl to mix the batter, a spoon, a can opener, and a small loaf pan. This recipe calls for melted butter, so if you're going to melt it in the microwave, I recommend putting it into a small bowl and covering the bowl with wax paper, just in case. We're going to start off by preheating the oven to 350 degrees and then melting 2 tablespoons of butter in the microwave. Although you could just put the butter into your dish and melt it in the oven, melting it in the microwave means that you're less likely to burn it by leaving it in the oven for too long. Once the butter is melted, it's time to make the batter by mixing together the sugar, the flour, the milk, the salt, the baking powder, the vanilla, and the Greek yogurt. Even though most cobbler recipes of this size would call for 4 tablespoons of butter or half of a stick, we're only using 2 tablespoons and replacing the other 2 tablespoons of butter with 1 tablespoon of fat-free Greek yogurt. So we're cutting down on the calories a lot. Once the batter is mixed thoroughly, put it off to the side and then pour the melted butter into the loaf pan and then swirl it around so that you coat the sides. If you want to add lemon juice or sugar to your peaches, empty them into a bowl, add the lemon juice and sugar, and then mix. The good thing about using peaches canned in juice and not syrup is that you can control the sweetness. If you want it to be less sweet and lower in calories, don't add any sugar. When you're ready to put everything together, pour the batter into the dish with the melted butter, but don't mix. Then dump in your peaches, trying to distribute them somewhat evenly without mixing. Although it seems counterintuitive, when you're making dump cake style fruit cobblers with a cake topping, it's critical that you don't mix everything together because if you do, you run the risk of ruining everything. Even though this looks like a mess, it's going into a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes. And while it's in the oven, the fruit and topping layers will separate from each other, as you can see. When it's done, it should look like this: golden brown around the edges. Your oven might be different than mine, so it's important to know what it should look like when it's ready to come out. Although you should let your cobbler cool for at least 5 to 10 minutes before serving it, it's definitely better warm, so don't let it get to room temperature like a pie. However, sometimes life happens like it did to me on the day that I made this. So you could always reheat it by putting it into a 350-degree oven for 5 minutes or scooping out individual servings and microwaving them on high for about 30 seconds. Or if you used a glass Pyrex dish like I did, you could put the whole thing into the microwave. Even though some situations might not be ideal, as a chef it's important to know how to make the best of them. Like I said, life happened, so I didn't get a chance to dig into this right after I took it out, but I still wanted to show you guys what the first piece looked like. In addition to reheating it if it gets cold, I would also recommend using a bigger spoon to serve it because as you can see, this was kind of hard. Let's take a closer look at this. Oh wow, that looks good, doesn't it? Like I said, even though it was still good at room temperature, if you want to reheat the cobbler, I would recommend scooping out individual servings, covering them, and then microwaving them on high in 30-second increments. If the cobbler's warm, vanilla ice cream melts into it very, very nicely. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.